New reaction today after Donald Trump finally admitted that President Obama was indeed born in the United States. At the same time, he claimed that Hillary Clinton had started the birther movement, a claim that has been widely debunked. The Clinton campaign today out with a web video making that point.
Hillary Clinton and her campaign of 2008 started the birther controversy.
Let's bring in Roland Martin, host and managing editor of News One Now. Good to talk to you.
Likewise.
I've talked to you in person, but never through the screen. Let's dig in here. What's your take on Trump's statement yesterday about his birther comments?
Well, first and foremost, Trump lied through his teeth, and he's shown a propensity to do that. But the reality is his audience does not care. They despise President Barack Obama. They despise Hillary Clinton. It does not matter what he has to say. They will continue to hate them. And so the issue for the Clinton campaign is you can run that ad, but he's shown he will lie over and over and over again, and it hasn't hurt him. That's not how you counter Donald Trump.
Is there anything that would satisfy you with respect to Trump and his birther stance that would put the issue in your mind behind him and not a factor in the election? Or is it just too far, too little, too late for him?
No, absolutely not. He was lying. It was bigoted. It was shameful. It was deceitful. He sat there and played the public, and too often mainstream media went along with it. And so this whole idea, well, I made it possible. We sell it. No, we were all clear. The American people elected President Barack Obama twice. And so while he was tweeting numerous times about this here, he knew what he was doing. And so he was trying to sit here and assail the integrity and the character of the first black president. And he will never be forgiven for that.
So it got you all riled up, and you, along with so many others. Do you think this almost made it worse?
Well, first of all, you can't get worse than the lie that he actually laid out. And so, yes, folks are upset. But here's the issue here, and this is a fundamental problem. There's a significant intensity issue that the Hillary Clinton camp has. And I don't know what Robbie Mook and John Podesta and the others are doing in Brooklyn, but they need to understand, get your heads out of your algorithms and your PDAs and realize that you have to counter intensity with intensity. In 2012, President Obama had a 2.4% surge of black voters in Ohio because of the attempts to suppress the vote. That was intensity. Many people were not necessarily happy with his performance, but they said, you're not going to allow that. Hillary Clinton has the exact same problem. And I've heard from Democrats, especially African Americans, from Florida, Ohio, North Carolina, as well as Pennsylvania, that you have too many young white staffers who are going in, who can't talk to black people in neighborhoods and barbershops. And so they're not registering the number of people necessary at HBCUs. And so you must confront that. You have to deal with the intensity gap that exists, because right now, 51 days, it's not about making her more palatable or softer, improving her image. It's about saying you don't put that guy in the White House. That's how you counter Donald Trump.
You know what? Let's talk about this. You're obviously talking about the fact that you asked Hillary Clinton in that radio interview about what appears to be really tepid support from young African Americans. Let's hear part of her response to your question, and then we'll talk about it.
I also want to help everybody with student debt, and that's a very high proportion of African-American young people with a BA come out with student debt. We're really putting out a very broad-based agenda, and the more young people hear about it, the more they know what I will do to help invest new funds in employment, skills training, education, the more interested they become.
Were you satisfied with her answers?
Look, I understand that point, but it has to be more direct. My good buddy Joe Madison of Sirius XM has a great phrase where he said you got to put it where the goats can get it, and that's on the ground how goats eat. And it has to be much more targeted and specific, because, look, young African Americans don't have the same recollection of the years when President Bill Clinton was in the White House. And so they're looking at this thing in a whole different way. They have to be much more aggressive in targeting them. I'm trying to understand, when it comes to criminal justice, while the campaign is not utilizing the Central Park Five, where Donald Trump called for the death penalty, took a full-page ad out saying, put those young men to death. They were later exonerated. That's how you hit that. That you got to literally say to young African Americans, do you have relatives with a pre-existing condition? Guess what? Donald Trump is president, with Republican House and Senate, then you're going to lose the Affordable Care Act. You have to target them that way in that type of language. And again, I'm talking about how are you utilizing your existing staffers.
Does she have young black staffers? I remember, I was in Philly for almost 10 years, and I won't mention the congressman, but he was going through the streets of North Philly, and he had this bullhorn, and I'm not going to say his name, so how do I do? He's going, he was yelling his name. People were coming outside, getting in vans because they were just so hyped about it, and they were literally driving to the polls and coming back. I mean, it was almost like a pep rally in the streets of North Philly, but it goes to show, I bring this up because it's the power of the ground game. Do you think, and getting young voters excited, frankly.
Precisely. But here's the deal. You have black celebrities that they haven't even involved. I can tell you right now, and this is painful, I have the only national show that specifically targets African Americans on television, and it was difficult to get black surrogates on my show. You have very few black surrogates out there. They're on the campaign. They have black staffers. I have heard from members of the Black Caucus. I've heard from folks inside the Hillary Clinton campaign. I've heard from volunteers. They're saying we want to do more, but then you have individuals who are controlling the purse strings, who are making those decisions, who don't get it. And I'm telling you, they're running around with their PDAs and their iPads and their charts saying, yeah, but the numbers are showing this. Here's the deal. Will she get 90 to 92% of the black vote? Yes. But the question is, who will come out? How many will you have an increase? And let me give an example. 2008, remember all the polls said Senator Obama was going to win New Hampshire, but the polls did not measure intensity. Hillary Clinton, when she teared up on that Sunday, that Tuesday, thousands of more people came to the polls. They didn't anticipate that. That's what I'm saying. You don't know how many disaffected high school diploma-like white voters will come out for Donald Trump. You must combat intensity on the right with intensity on the left, and her campaign had better pay attention to the folks who are on the ground, or they are going to face the possibility of losing. Can't wait 30 days out. Black voters, young black voters, will not be political sharecroppers.
So it's not. It's not about voting. So for you, it's not about the danger is it's not about them voting obviously for Donald Trump, but it's just that they sit at home.
Precisely. And so if you don't set the narrative, if you don't paint the picture as to what your life will be like if your opponent, if Trump wins, then it's going to be very difficult. And that's the point I'm trying to make here. And when I say political sharecroppers, what I mean by that is you want African Americans to volunteer, but you're paying white staffers. You want African Americans to talk about it for free on television and radio, but you don't want to buy ads. I'm telling you, African American young voters are paying attention. And what they're saying is, and not just African Americans, Latinos and young whites as well, this campaign must deal with the intensity gap that exists. And the surrogates are saying, use us, we're waiting, but the deciders in Brooklyn aren't doing it. And I'm telling you, if they don't, they're going to look up in about 20 days, and we're going to be 30 days out, and they're going to try to go to the old way, going to black churches. That's not going to do it, not in 2016.
Well, I'll tell you what, let's remember this moment, and then we'll meet again in a couple of weeks, and we'll talk about it. And see
I would advise them not to wait a couple of weeks.
No, you and I, and we'll see if it's gotten better.
Let's do it.
There you go. All right, Roland, as always, great to talk with you, my friend.
Thanks a lot.